Hello friends, it's Dave here from SaveDex and welcome to the fourth instalment of the SaveDex podcast. The main event of today's podcast is bucket list games that we feel should come to the Switch. And I am joined by a special guest, FatManAndPop.
Hello, how you all doing, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, we're all doing good. Hopefully they're putting in the comments right now how they're doing. That would be nice to see. So before we get to our main event of the podcast, we're going to begin with just a quick few little meet and greet things. So what have you been playing lately, Fatman and Pop?
Recently I've been playing House Flipper, which you can only get on Steam, Xbox One, and PS4, which I would highly recommend. It's definitely a really fun addition to house building simulators out there. It's definitely a fun one, in my opinion. And another game that came out yesterday was Ubisoft's Roller Champions.
Oh right. Oh, I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's like Rocket League, but with obviously with roller skates.
Oh wow, yeah, I'll check that one out. What's that on?
It's on Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, and best of all, it's free to play.
Nice. I have an Xbox, so I'll do check that out. Oh, cool.
Awesome.
So you've been enjoying those? I've not heard of the house building one, but that sounds fun. Maybe I'll take a look at that as well.
It's around I think like £20, $25.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
And best of all, the developers actually update the game every 5 months.
Oh, nice. So plenty to keep coming back for then.
Oh yes.
Oh, cool. Brilliant. So I earlier this week picked up. I had bought it at launch, but I haven't played it much. But Sniper Elite 4, I have it on the Switch because the fifth one I think came out today.
All right.
And it's on Game Pass, which I have. So I've been downloading that, but I've not played it yet. So I sort of started up Sniper Elite 4 just to get into the mood again. Because I enjoyed the third one, which is it's all stealth gameplay with sniping and like X-ray vision on when you hit people and stuff, and I really enjoyed that. And as people who watch my Uncharted streams know, I'm very good at stealth. My stealth tactic is just run and gun. If I give up,
I'm absolutely terrible at stealth games because the one full proof of that is me playing the Hitman reboot trilogy. And, oh god, I am absolutely terrible at playing those. Like, I always get caught every single time, and I get so frustrated every time I mess up. I'm like, oh, why did I do that? I did not mean to do that. I try like distract the guards at one point when I was in like this hotel in Taiwan to get to this vegan pop singer or whatever he is, and I was throwing a coin. He went over there. I tried to sneak around him, but unfortunately his friend spotted me and I had to restart that entire checkpoint.
Oh my god. Yeah, I find with these sorts of stealth games, my first attempt, I'm sort of really focused, really good at it. But if I fail and have to start again or go back to a checkpoint, my patience is less.
Yeah.
So I then start doing things a bit faster than I should, and then I fail more. That's my best. That's the biggest drawback there. I've also been playing because I've had a few like people coming over, like Sophie's brother came over and he's really into Pokemon. So I actually started Pokemon Moon last week on my 3DS, and I caught a few, and then I started Wonder Trading and I got like a level 100 Incineroar and
a good friend of mine actually is a big fan of Pokemon, and keep in mind, I just want to clarify with everyone on this episode of this podcast. I'm a big fan of racing games, and fighting games are my second favorite genre.
Right.
And what's interesting is that Pokken Tournament sparked my interest. I was like, oh, okay, it's a third person fighting game. Okay, I can get behind this. So my friend who bought a Wii U just to play not only just to play Pokken, obviously, but also played numerous other games on the Wii U. He invited me over because he knows I like fighting games. I gave it a go, and the character I always went for was Machamp because I'm always that big fan of tank characters, like those heavyweight, slow but can cause tons of damage. Those are my go-tos.
Yeah, I was a Charizard main in Pokken.
Ah. And yes, and yet people are still harassing Ketsuyo Harada to not only get Tekken Cross Street Fighter out, but they really want to make Pokken 2.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I didn't buy the Switch version of Pokken because I had it on Wii U.
Yeah.
There's some games I just didn't double dip, but yeah. So yeah, I would like to see another Pokken game. I would buy a second Pokken game, definitely.
Yeah.
So another game with another friend that came over. This was a very sort of nostalgia, and it's kind of sad to say that I'm feeling nostalgic about Wii games now. It makes me feel so old.
Yeah.
I still remember when Wii was like the big new thing, but
oh yeah, it was massive.
And it's probably not a Wii game that a lot of people go back to, but in the early days of the Wii, me and this particular friend at uni played a lot, and that's Wii Play. And more specifically, there's the Find Me mini game on it, and because me and him had created a lot of Miis, a lot of them goofy looking, we don't even play that because in multiplayer version of that's not so good, but playing it single player, it goes up to 99 levels and it tells you find 2 lookalikes, find this particular Mii and things like that, and it gets harder and harder with a tighter time limit as it goes on, and we just love playing that, like helping each other spot things and things like that. So we always have to break that out whenever this friend visits, so yeah, it's always nostalgic because I don't see him that often, especially because of pandemic. I haven't seen him in over 2 years, so that was nice to do. That was as well.
Like the only like Wii game that I absolutely besides Mario Kart Wii, of course, despite the fact that game had a lot of like balance issues, I will say that. I'm not afraid to admit that at all. But another game I absolutely enjoyed playing was Punch Out, because I think one of the funniest memories I ever had of that game is that during my time as a teenager, my dad would play Punch Out because he played the original one back on the NES, and he fell in love with that game ever since. And when I showed him Punch Out for the Wii, he was like, oh wow, they actually brought it back. And he like showed me the characters and all. He showed me Little Mac, Doc, King Hippo. He recognized all the iconic characters.
Oh yeah.
And one of the funniest things I did was I was trying to dodge. Oh God, who was that character? He was that fat Canadian boxer with like the beard and stuff, and he drinks like maple syrup and his.
Let's have a look.
Forgot his name. But yeah, I was trying to like punch him, and I actually like swung too hard to the left side, and I literally like my fist clashed with my dad's jaw, and I literally paused and going, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's like, it's okay, it's all right. Keep going.
Is his name Bear Hugger?
Yes, that's the guy. Bear Hugger, that's the guy.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. One thing about that Punch Out game as well is although it did have the option for motion controls, it's so good that a Nintendo-owned property on the Wii didn't force the motion controls. You could use normal controls, whereas back in that time, Nintendo was very much motion controls or nothing for some of their games.
Yeah, but that was when the Wii came out, and that's when they started limiting that option. Because I remember speaking to some developers, especially some in the UK, who really wanted to get their games on the Wii U just by using a regular control with no motion at all.
Yeah.
And Nintendo basically says to them, "Not gonna happen. You're like the gamepad for the Wii U is our primary must. If you want your game on our console, it's like the gamepad has to be involved."
Yeah.
And so many developers turned that down and walked away, and I didn't blame them, because that was, in my opinion, like I know Nintendo still got this addiction of having gimmicks, but during around when the Switch was being announced, and obviously they've confirmed like all these third party developers like joining the console, like that gave me so much hope that they practically went out of the way to say, okay, any developer can use motion controls or just like regular controls, and so many developers are so relieved, and the Switch is just making them money because of that, because they brought back that optional choice, which is great, and
especially for indie developers as well, who wouldn't be as experienced with these other types of motion. Just having the simple layout makes it a lot more accessible for them.
Absolutely, and because I was even speaking to some good friends of mine who work at a company in Poland called Jujube, and this is going to relate to a topic that you and I obviously talked about earlier before recording the podcast. They actually have their own F-Zero-esque racing game.
Oh wow.
And it's called Flash Out. And what's interesting though, they've like the third installment is finally coming to consoles because the previous two installments were actually mobile only because they started off as a mobile company. And what actually caught my eye with Flash Out 3 was the fact that they went with a different theme with this. It's still got obviously the futuristic tone to it, but what they've done is that they've went with the 80s neon appearance with it, and I love that. Like, it looks amazing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's nice. Like I say, we're going to talk about F-Zero later on in the topic, but there is sort of like, I mean, you get some like the fast racing game as well. But there is still that F-Zero shaped hole in the Switch's library that needs filling, and games like this we need. And we saw it with the whole Monkey Ball slot being filled by, there was an indie game called Paper Ball Deluxe that came out last year that filled that gap. And then later on that year we got a proper Monkey Ball game. So maybe this comes out and then they're like, oh, let's do an F-Zero next. But we'll talk about that later anyway. But, yeah. So anyway, coming into also, I usually go into any gaming news that's caught our attention lately, but I can sort of link into it a bit because today I was playing a demo for Mario Strikers Battle League that appeared on the eShop.
Oh.
So that's really the notable news for me this week because I've not really been noticing much. Has there been anything for you that you've noticed?
I did find some kind of shocking news, and to be honest with you, this kind of puts a smile on my face because I despise this company with a burning passion.
Right.
Electronic Arts is actually planning to sell their company off.
Oh no! Oh yeah, I think I remember that because I know they changed the FIFA brand or got rid of the FIFA brand.
Yeah, and I've like what was the what they changed the name to again?
It's I talked about this with Glenn a few weeks ago, didn't I? It's called something like EA Sports FC or something like that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But yeah,
because there's a number of reasons why I hate EA. Not just because of their greed and how they treat their employees like garbage, and believe you me, there's tons of evidence to prove that. But one of the things that made me hate them right from the beginning was that, call me salty, call me nitpicking if you will, but there was this violent game that I really wanted to play back on the PlayStation 1, right? But yeah, back on the PlayStation 1. And it was called, I'm not sure you heard this game. It was cancelled for a dumb reason. The game is called Thrill Kill. And the genre of the game, it's a 2 to 4 player arena brawler game. So it's two or four players like attacking each other in one arena, and whoever wins gets to perform a thrill kill. They get to perform a combo kill, or they want to spare their opponent. They do like a silly dance. You can even look up the game's finishers or gameplay on YouTube if you like, because the developers who originally worked on that project did somewhat get the last laugh because they put the original game up on an emulator for you to download.
Wow.
And here comes the dumb reason as to why EA cancelled the project. "Quote unquote, far too violent," even though the violence is like Mortal Kombat unrealistic type of style. And on top of that, EA are such hypocrites for that as well, because they release violent games like they release violent games like Dead Space, Dante's Inferno. Like are you having a laugh, EA? Like you release violent like Thrill Kill is bad, but Dante's Inferno and Dead Space are okay. Like you have a laugh, and seeing and hearing the news that EA is planned to be sold off. The first thing I did was called up Domino's saying, "Hello, I'd like to order a large pizza, please, for my celebration." That's the first thing I did, because that put a big smile on my face. Because that's one out of the for third-party studios that deserve what they're getting, because they've
Oh yeah.
because it's all about greed, corruption, and other scandalous garbage that goes on within those companies. Sure, yeah. Activision Blizzard, I will admit, are the true monsters in this situation, but EA are just filled with greed, and thank God they got what they deserve.
Yeah. So I've never been a big fan of EA, even back before everyone else seems to hate them. Like I remember during the GameCube days where EA just seemed to put out licensed stuff that got bad reviews but sold really well. And I remember one year there was a public vote, and EA were the names the best game developers of the year or whatever, and I was like, are you kidding me? But yeah, because they make FIFA, so they're great,
So and then eventually, decades down the line, they got the worst company of the year decades later.
Yeah, but I remember, because that's the thing, is at the time FIFA was always the big selling one, even though I enjoy playing FIFA, but I don't get it every year. I usually one per console. But I remember when the PS4 and Xbox One first came out, and Game would have the kiosks with loads of demos on that people can play. Every time I went past a game shop and I saw usually kids on them, all they were doing is playing FIFA on it, and I'm like, you've got your chance to play this brand new, more powerful machine, and you're choosing to play a game that plays the same as one you've got at home.
Oh god! I even remember watching this. I walked into my local game, right? The store game. I went in there back in 2013 when Killer Instinct was, which by the way, my all-time favorite game, by the way.
Yeah.
All-time favorite fighting game. They showed off the obviously the Xbox One's demo hardware, and obviously they had Killer Instinct. They had Forza Motorsport 6, Titanfall, and I think and surprisingly Madden was on there, which I'm kind of shocked about. So anyway, I was watching this kid thinking, okay, which game is he going to pick? Is he going to pick Forza? Is he going to pick Killer Instinct? Is he going to pick that game or that game? And it turns out he went straight for Madden, and he started complaining to his mum, saying, "Mum, this isn't football." I was trying my best not to burst out laughing.
Oh my God.
I had to literally run out the store, and I literally started laughing my backside off, while some people walking past going into other shops were looking at me going what is that guy laughing about?
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of football, anyway, to go back on how I started this, so the Mario Strikers demo that appeared on the eShop right now today. At the minute, it's just a tutorial you can do, so you can sort of learn how the game plays. But next weekend, I think it's the 4th and 5th of June, they're going to do some time slots where you can play online for an hour. And so it's going to be 6 time slots, I think. So next weekend, it means that I will probably live stream that. So if anyone wants to jump in and play with me online, that's a little advertisement there. So,
can I just point out about the Mario Striker series? In my personal opinion, I personally think that that the Mario Strikers series as a whole has got to be one of the most violent Mario games I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
The characters punching and kicking each other, and when I played the first one back on the GameCube, I remember this very well. Mario punching Peach in the face, and my jaw dropped. I was like, did he really punch the woman that he loves in the face? What?
I'll tell you what.
Over a football of all things.
One of the first things the tutorial gets you to do is kick Yoshi in the head. It maintains
amazing.
that violence, and there's also the confirmation, and this could be a little sort of, I see positives and negatives in this. Is the fact there's been concern about they've only shown 10 characters so far, but Nintendo have confirmed that there will be updates to it, adding new content, kind of like what they did with the other sports games. Now, obviously, it's great that it's not going to be just the 10. We're going to get other characters added. But at the same time, I miss the days where you would... Obviously, people say a lot of the time, you wish you could just buy a complete game rather than them release an unfinished one. But my thoughts go deeper than that. I liked the fact that back in the day, I could buy a game, it has 10 characters in, but then there's 10 other characters hidden in there, and you unlock them through gameplay.
Yeah.
But now we're just going to, like, once a month, get another character or two added, and not have to do anything to get them. They just appear, and I'm like, it's kind of robbing gameplay that way, because that's the bulk of single player. The bulk of single player in these types of games is unlocking everything, and
absolutely.
Yeah, but I know obviously we got the online now for it, but it's just a shame. I just really miss unlocking things in games.
I know, like my nephew's got a Nintendo Switch himself, and he absolutely loves the system. He like the one game I got him for Christmas last year was Cruising Blast, and of course he felt he fell in love with the Cruising series ever since. But Mario Strikers, like, he will not shut up about it. Like he's literally begging his mum to get it for him, and she's like looking at me, and I was like, all right, I'll get it for him. I'll pre-order it for him, and. Which I did. He's my nephew. He's got a Switch. So I thought, you know what, he wants to play a sports game. Why not get that for him? And if I'm honest though, sports games like Rocket League and Mario Strikers are in my opinion are the go-tos, because when you look at like annual released sports games, they are easily disposable, and I mean easily disposable by a high degree, and. The problem is though, third-party companies don't want to see that. It's not the fact that they want to believe it's disposable. They don't want us to keep telling them that, because they know it, and it's practically a sad sight to see, because they're basically just wasting money and resources on making a yearly game that's not only the same garbage every year, but it's also burning out so many of their developers to the point where a lot of them are just walking out without collecting their last paychecks.
Yeah, and with these sports games, well, like I say, I don't really follow football that closely. So with a FIFA, I could play a FIFA game from like 3 years ago and be fine. But obviously, if you follow football and you know everything about it, a year later the squads are going to be out of date and things, and that might bother you. So that's why you'd rebuy it. So in that regard, like something like Mario Strikers, it's a 1 per console game, or 1 per 3 consoles by the looks of this one. But and like Rocket League, you just need that one game and you're set for so many years.
Absolutely.
And so it's nice. Again, I said this a few discussions ago that Nintendo have been bringing back some long dormant franchises. Like Mario Strikers, and like there was a new WarioWare last year, a new 2D Metroid, and so on. Like things that we thought they'll never do again. So that could bring us some hope for some games that we're going to talk about a bit later on as well.
Absolutely.
So if we go on to our main topic now, and that is, I will confess, I came up with this list with Asdin from Grinning Wolf Games, who was unable to join us for this recording. So I will credit him for the first 5 ones we're going to talk about. So how we'll start is, so what got me the idea for this topic was the recent Nintendo Direct. They announced that the Portal games are coming to Switch as a collection, and also No Man's Sky is coming to Switch. And that made me think, I was like, oh, that's cool, they're coming. I wasn't like, oh my god, wow, I can't believe it. It was more of a, it makes sense, that should be on the Switch. It sort of felt like, tick a box, that one's on Switch now. So I thought, what other bucket list games should come to Switch in that style? And it could be a port, it could be a remake or remaster, it could be a collection, or it could be a new entry in a long dormant franchise, kind of like Mario Strikers is. So that's basically a general gist of this conversation. So the first ones we're going to talk about are collections we should get on the Switch. So the first one is the Batman Arkham games.
Oh, good choice, because I know some people have had their fair share of criticisms with Batman Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight, but in all honesty, like bring all 4 games into one big collection, which it's like that alone would be a groundbreaking masterpiece. Which I know. In fact, they did HD re-releases of of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, which, okay, fair enough. But
it's called Return to Arkham, that collection, wasn't it?
yeah, it was, yeah. But if they brought all four, and I mean all four Arkham games into one collection, and you're like charging them like 40 to £50, like that's a good deal. Because you're getting 4 games in one. Like that is just chef's kiss right there.
How would the Switch handle Arkham Knight?
Ooh,
obviously Arkham City and Arkham Origins were both on the Wii U, so the Switch. I mean, obviously it did struggle at times with loading areas, but it wasn't too bad. But I'll tell you what, though, I first played Arkham City on the Xbox 360. I actually got the collector's edition for that. I absolutely loved it. But then I bought the port of it on the Wii U because it had all the DLC on it. And my God, that Wii U gamepad, that was the definitive way to play that game, because you could have a permanent map on there, on that screen, or you could have your inventory management on there. It just made it so much quicker, and, just a tiny little touch it was, but it really changed how you played that game.
Alright, I guess that was kind of beneficial, but...
Yeah.
But me personally, I've always been like, the standard controller guy, so for me it's just like, press, left bumper, right bumper, X, Batman jumps off a building, breaks his neck, so there you are. Yeah. That's what I go for.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, especially, even if it was just the Return to Arkham collection put on Switch, there's no reason they can't put that on there. And there was a rumour about it earlier this year or last year that it was coming, but it never came to anything. It's kind of like when they did the Ninja Gaiden trilogy last year. It's like That's what made me think Batman should come as well.
Oh yeah, that I have played all 3 Ninja Gaiden games because I used to be a big fan of Team Ninja before even they kind of went downhill, and I mean very downhill from it over the years. But Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 are my all-time favorites. Ninja Gaiden 3 was an absolute mess because a bit of history on this one. Tonobu Itagaki, the guy who created both Ninja Gaiden and the Dead or Alive series, he actually got into a massive fight with the main heads at Koei Tecmo and Team Ninja, and because they were basically like pestering him to get the 3rd installment of Ninja Gaiden out there on this certain deadline, and he said no, the game needs more time, and they didn't listen, and of course, the game came out, and it was just a complete broken mess from glitches
I've heard about that. Yeah.
From glitches to AI being way too overpowered. It was not a fun game. It was absolute nightmare that was. But
didn't the Razor's Edge, was it called, like their sort of patch version of it?
Sadly, Razor's Edge didn't do much better either because
I've not played that one, but
so many Ninja Gaiden fans were still annoyed with the vanilla version of the game. Razor's Edge just didn't sell well, and it just got to the point where Team Ninja thought, okay, let's give our IP to a Canadian development team which by the way were the worst development team out there in existence, called Spark Entertainment. Right. And they thought, okay, let's take one of Ryu Hayabusa's worst enemies, turn him into a cyborg, killing zombies for no reason.
Oh my goodness!
And I face palmed when I saw that trailer. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Not only that too, to make matters worse, that caused Spark Entertainment to go bankrupt, which explains why they haven't been around for like nearly a decade.
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, also one interesting thing about, say, Batman Arkham games being a complete collection is, first of all, would you include the portable one, was it called Black Gate, which was like a 2D game?
If it was made by Rocksteady, I would say yeah.
Yeah. So, because the first Arkham game was, compared to Arkham City as well, I went back to it, and it sort of feels more... It has a more of a claustrophobic settings. You're in a smaller environment, and it really... Although it sort of could fit in sort of like the Metroidvania-style gameplay, where you get... Like, I would get a new item or move, whatever, and I'd be like, oh, hang on, I remember a bit in this other building that I could use that on, and you sort of go back and forth like that, and Arkham City had that as well, but because it was such a big area and everything was like its own building, it's sort of I didn't really remember places as much, and it sort of pushed you in the right direction. So I found Arkham Asylum, although it's obviously a very similar game, it's at the same time felt very different. And Arkham Knight, like I said, was a very divisive one from what I saw, but I feel like your enjoyment of that game depended on whether you liked the Batmobile controls or not.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind them personally, but you were in that thing a lot.
You make a good point there because one of the most interesting things that I've kind of got like this idea from is that I really want to see a Twisted Metal Batman game.
Oh wow, that would be good, yeah.
Like it's a weird concept, but hear me out on this because Raw Thrills, the same guys who made Cruising Blast, they released an arcade game just called Batman Arcade. And it's where you get to choose whatever Batmobile you want from the comics, the cartoons, the films. You can choose any Batman-style vehicle you want. And you literally just go around Gotham shooting criminals in their vehicles.
Wow.
And that gave me the idea of, do you know what? I want a Batman Twisted Metal racing game where it's Batman and his allies racing against the villains of Gotham.
That would be so good, actually. Yeah, there's so much material they could work with there. Like you say, the different Batmobiles and obviously the villains with their vehicles as well. Like, oh man, what if they had the Penguin have that giant rubber duck thing he has in Batman Returns?
Oh,
that would be so good.
And you have like a Bane in like a monster truck that like fires rocket launchers. Like, I'm down for that.
My God, we should get into game development here.
Definitely. We definitely should.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I think,
man.
So some form of Batman Arkham collection would fit in quite well there. So the next one was one of Asdin's suggestions that I don't really know anything about, and that's Golden Sun.
Yes, I'm not too familiar with that game either. All I know is that it's an RPG that's beloved by millions, and
GBA, I think.
Yeah, on GBA, and I've been seeing like Golden Sun fans like begging Nintendo to bring this series back as either like a remake or a sequel. Like they really want this game back.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them because if a game sold millions on Game Boy Advance, why not bring it back? I mean, they brought back Advance Wars, didn't they? Even though it's obviously still been delayed.
Still been delayed, but it's coming. So maybe that's another dormant franchise that returns. So maybe Golden Sun will. But we'd say we can't really talk about the particulars of that series. But one. Okay, so the next collection I'm going to talk about is a game I've played every single game in this series, but I have not beaten any of them. And only one of them have I got to the final boss, but still can't beat it. And that's the Mario and Luigi games.
Ah, yes. Okay, so. Alright, here's another idea that I've kind of had with this. Okay, so make a Mario and Luigi collection, but on top of that, what Nintendo should do is that they should announce a brand new Mario and Luigi game, but it involves Wario and Waluigi.
That would be so good. I've been wanting that.
So it would involve like obviously like brothers versus brothers, like a rivalry battle.
Okay, so not like Partners in Time then.
No, not at all. But the thing is, though, my idea of it is that you get to choose which side you want to choose for the story. So you can choose the Mario and Luigi story, or you can choose the Wario and Waluigi story, and you get to see their sides of the whole story arc as you go forward through the game. But of course, as you complete both arcs, you unlock the final part being obviously the fierce, menacing boss, which obviously isn't Bowser, some giant cartoony monster character, I guess, that you can fight. That's like the true threat of the Mushroom Kingdom, and I truly believe that could actually benefit a lot of stuff right there.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like Sonic Adventure 2 there. And it works
kind
well
of,
in that. But it would be cool, like, if, say, you play as Mario and Luigi, it's got, like, Toad and Yoshi and stuff helping you out. But then when you play as Wario and Waluigi, maybe you've got, like, Hammer Bros and Koopa Troopers sort of on your side, and you're fighting Yoshis and Toads as the enemies.
Absolutely.
That would be so good. Yeah, so my thought of this, because obviously when it comes to porting them, there is the DS had dual screens, so they'd have to make a lot of changes. Something like like in Dream Team, you had to interact with Luigi's face on the touchscreen and things like that. But there's where they worked around Skyward Sword. They can work around this, I say. But one thing that Nintendo tend to do with, and it's like when Pikmin 3 came to Switch, I thought, why wasn't it Pikmin Trilogy? And
actually, that's a good point. Why didn't they do that?
I bought that because I didn't have it on Wii U, but I did not buy New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. But I would have bought New Super Mario Bros. All Stars if they had all of them on a collection. But so Nintendo tends to just release an HD port of one of the games in the series when really, couldn't we have had all of them?
Exactly, but I mean, business is business. I mean, they're going to make those decisions nonetheless.
Yeah, and obviously, Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story have both had remakes, and the latter sold terribly. So then the studio went bankrupt, and so maybe Nintendo will bring it back in some shape or form. But I love the Wario Waluigi idea. That is so good.
Like, trust me, like, in my opinion, that would work. I mean, of course, with Wario, there's going to be tons of, like, toilet humor with him. No surprise there. Waluigi basically using his Vine whip that he would use in Mario Strikers, of course, which obviously would make sense. But yeah, I think it could actually benefit both Wario and Waluigi to like star in like a proper game that isn't like a party game or a racing game, which I really do believe it could do justice for both characters.
And it would be a chance to actually give Waluigi more material as well.
Exactly,
like more things to reference him with.
Like the guy is like a literal meme god. Like that's like if a video game character or any character from any source of medium becomes a meme, that basically means that they have got a huge fan following.
Yeah.
And they cannot be stopped.
And Nintendo have not capitalized on that at all, really.
I know, it's ridiculous. Like they had that one chance to make him as a playable character in Smash Brothers, and yet Sakurai just gave everyone the middle finger. That's all he did.
It's just like, and people say, what kind of moveset could he have? And I'm like, well, what kind of moveset could Captain Falcon have? And he's got like the most iconic move in the game.
I know, and one of the things that got me so angry with Sakurai was that F-Zero fans like myself really wanted either Blood Falcon as an Echo Fighter for Captain Falcon, but he's just another reskin, which really got me so angry, or Black Shadow as his own original character.
Yeah.
And Sakurai just pulled the excuse saying, "Oh, it would have been nice if we brought Black Shadow in, but he would play too much like Ganondorf." I'm like, no, he won't. Is he a tank character like Ganon? Yeah, sure. But the thing is, though, you can do so much more with Black Shadow. You can use his horns like charge at people like a bull, and backfist people, and teleport, and obviously his final smash will just be like Captain Falcon's, where he gets in his black ball and runs them over. But still, it would benefit F-Zero fans to actually know that, okay, Sakurai does care about this franchise. He does care about this IP. He wants F-Zero to come back.
Oh yeah, definitely. So next one is one I've played the first game on quite a lot, but not really the sequels. That's Dead Rising. How are you with that?
Okay, Dead Rising, I'm quite the expert on this because I've played all three games. Dead Rising 1 and 2, fantastic games. Dead Rising 3, it was alright. Dead Rising 4 killed the franchise.
I didn't know there was a fourth one.
Oh yeah, and it's bad. It's really bad.
And from what I know, Nintendo have only experienced Dead Rising with a watered-down Wii port.
Yeah, which Capcom that was one of Capcom's biggest mistakes, because they were like, yeah, we're just going to stick to porting it on Xbox and PlayStation. We're not going to bother with the Wii U at all. But yeah, Dead Rising is definitely a beloved series. Like me, what kept me going back to playing the game was that you had two modes to play. You had the campaign mode, which obviously you were like on a timer, because you had like 4 days to get everyone evac and get to the final boss. Um, or you could play the sandbox mode where you can roam around and do whatever you want
That's what I like doing.
for an unlimited time. And one of the key things about Dead Rising, besides obviously grabbing any weapon that you can find and using it against zombies or combining weapons together to kill a large amount of zombies, was the psychopath bosses. Because they had their own like distinct personalities, and it gave them a reason why they went crazy. Because one of the most iconic ones ever in the series is Adam the Clown from Dead Rising 1, because he was not only the mall's mascot, he was also the guy who actually controlled the this particular like children's ride, and he actually gives out a hint saying that he can't stop the ride because the zombies will come back, because the noise is basically like leading them away from him.
Right.
And of course, kind of the most messed up things about it during that cutscene was that the ride, one of the rides like comes by through the main entrance in slow motion, and you see like two child dolls covered in blood. So it basically like shows you that Adam may have killed some zombies, may have killed some innocent people, and he thought, okay, I'm going to put these children here because he thinks obviously they're real, and oh wow, he is the most iconic of iconic bosses. Like, you should look him up on YouTube. He is insane.
Yeah, I will do, definitely, because I never got too far, because I just used it. I'm kind of like this with sort of sandbox games like GTA and stuff like that. I just muck around in them. I don't tend to do the stories, and I just love just exploring this mall and just grabbing what I could to beat them. But what I did is I went for that achievement where you had to kill like 30-something thousand zombies. And I just got into a car and just drove up one way, then turned around, drove back, just smashing that. I just kept doing that until I got the achievement. That's my strongest memory of that game.
Dead Rising 2, quite a lot of things with this one, actually. It did have some iconic bosses, did have some iconic moments. I think one of the funniest moments was that there was a duo psychopath boss fight involving two magicians. One of them in particular looked like Will Ferrell. I'm not joking you.
Really?
One of them looked like Will Ferrell, and they basically cut up this woman in half with a saw blade, because you know that whole like magic trick where, like, you know, oh, we're gonna cut this person in half and they're still gonna be alive and whatnot. But they did it for real, and they basically like cut her in half, and they're like, okay, take two, let's try again.
My goodness.
And oh god, and the most interesting thing about Dead Rising 2 is that they had two standalone expansions. They had Dead Rising 2 Case Zero.
Yes, I had that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Case West, which I thought was pretty good.
I brought Frank West back in that one.
Yeah. Even though they did have that other one where it was called Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, where you play as Frank West in the main story of Dead Rising 2. But just to clarify, that is not a canon story. That's just like a what if scenario. Like, what if Chuck Green went crazy and Frank West wanted to get his career back on track? That was an alternate storyline. But what I loved about Dead Rising 2's story is that it expanded upon the first game, and so did the third one. But then all of a sudden, when the fourth game came out, it just stopped. It took all the fun, took all the enjoyment out of all the free games, and just literally just made it into like a blank slate, like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a shame as well. But information aside with Dead Rising, like I personally believe they should definitely do a Dead Rising trilogy, not a Dead Rising quadrilogy, and for good reason.
Sometimes you've seen that where they will ignore a game that wasn't well received when bringing some games back.
Yeah.
I can't think of an example right now, but I'm sure that's happened.
Absolutely.
Oh, like Sonic Mania ignored Sonic 4, didn't it? In its counter thing. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. and that was like back during a time when Sonic fans were just like, no offense, they were vicious.
Oh yeah.
Very vicious people. Oh my, like both vicious and very creepy as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You get certain. I mean, obviously, I won't list the fan bases now in case I upset anyone,
Yeah,
but
of
there
course
are
not.
certain fan bases that I am very careful not to talk about certain games on the channel because I know
Mm.
whatever I say is going to make them angry, whether
Oh
I'm
yeah.
say positive or negative. So, yeah, I've noticed in the past to avoid certain fan bases that way. But yeah. So,
Um.
Mass Effect. How are you with that?
Right. I've only played like a good 2 hours of the first game. I don't know too much about it. I
Yeah.
know all I remember is looking up the memes of Mass Effect Andromeda about how wonky the animation was, and people
Oh
was
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
and people were like playing that Only Human song like in the
Yeah.
background as they were like making fun of like the muscles on like the smile like going over the cheekbones like something that you see in Gmod, but it was just like, oh wow. But
So, so gameplay wise, I've only played the first one again, just maybe an
yeah.
hour or two. It's not really my thing. But I had this
Mm.
friend who was really into it, and Mass Effect 2, he says, is like one of the best games ever.
Oh yeah, like
But
I've heard a lot
all
of good
that.
things about the second
But
one.
the
Yeah.
things I know about this game is everyone hated the ending of Mass Effect 3, so they actually changed it.
Yeah.
Um,
It for that they changed it for the re-release, didn't they?
Yeah, and also
Yeah,
I
because
remember there was a big controversy about Mass Effect 2 having a sex scene in it,
like
which,
like 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 them censoring that, in my opinion, was absolutely pointless. It
yeah,
really was.
and I remember seeing, it might be on YouTube still, there was this TV show, like talk show, where they were complaining, where they typically bring up video games at one point about they're too violent, they're a bad influence, and
Uh,
people that have never picked up a controller in their life, frankly. Um,
yeah.
and they had this game journalist on like a satellite feed, and so these people, there was three of them complaining about the game, says, well, we got someone on to try and defend this Mass Effect game, and they brought him on here, and he was just, you could tell he was enjoying it because he was just countering everything they said and arguing, and they eventually just cut him off and said he's not being very saying he's not being very constructive, and just cut him off and then just carried on ranting about the game,
Oh no.
like his first thing he said was, you're nitpicking like a 20-second scene within a 30-hour epic, he said.
I've seen better criticism with the sequel trilogy of Star Wars than that. Like, come on.
No, but they just cut him off.
Oh,
Anyway,
that is beautiful. I love
but
that.
again, Mass Effect, it's not my thing, but it's one of those games where it's like, even when, say, like No Man's Sky is not really my thing, but I'm glad it's coming to Switch, because the more
Yeah.
games the Switch has, the better, especially the the well-regarded ones. It's good to have the variety for a bigger audience.
I just want to point something out about No Man's Sky. Right, I've had my fair share of criticisms with the launch of the game and all the
Yeah, I heard
shady
about
stuff
that.
and all the shady stuff that the developers were trying to hide from it. But as years went by, it literally turned into a game that people enjoyed, and I'm glad that it did. But the thing is, though, a lot of the developer, like this kind of maybe go from being angry to kind of sad to like watch, because one of the developers actually fell under deep depression due to
Oh no!
how much pressure the director was trying to like lie about the whole gameplay involving No Man's Sky.
Wow!
And it got so bad to the point where he had to leave Hello Games and go into the mental hospital, and he didn't come out until roughly a year later.
Oh no!
Like,
That's
it was
awful.
that bad, because he kept on telling the guy who was directing the game, he kept on like saying, dude, we need to delay this game, we have to delay it, and he just kept on ignoring his idea. And
No.
of course, look what happened.
Yeah, so it wasn't really, again, not really my. It's not so much that it wasn't going to be my thing. No Man's Sky. It's just a lot of games that come out. I just know I'm never going to beat them. because they look like big time sinks. Something like, say, Monster Hunter. I never have a problem with Monster Hunter, but I don't never play them because I know it's a big commitment that I'm not going to be able to give it. So, I mean, being an adult nowadays, you can't. I take smaller games, really, ones that you can just pick up and play for a bit. But so here's me wanting all these collections of multiple games on the Switch. Having said that, okay, so the next collection, or it's not a specific collection, it could be any kind really, and that is, but we haven't got a Tomb Raider game on the Switch yet.
Actually, that's a good point. Actually, do you know what they should do? They should do the PlayStation 1 Trilogy Collection on the Switch. Like, they should call it the
classic,
the Tomb Raider Polygon Triangle, chesty collection, or whatever you want to call it. Because I mean, that's literally what Lara Croft had back in the day.
And if it's a trilogy, they can work triangle into the title, couldn't they?
Good point, actually. Yeah, they could. And one of the most interesting things that I found out is that one of the former developers who worked on the trilogy actually did a fan-made Tomb Raider game that crosses with Resident Evil.
Oh,
and
nice.
I thought, oh wow, Capcom and Crystal Dynamics colliding together, Resident Evil and Tomb Raider. I'm down for that. Do it.
I can see Lara Croft in a Resident Evil situation.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Like, survival's a big thing for her. Like, so with the classics, obviously Tomb Raider has been on Nintendo, because I know the Wii had some Tomb Raider games.
Yeah.
And but then when I was thinking, I'm only familiar with Tomb Raider from the reboot trilogy. So I think the 2013 game, I think, would have no problem being on the Switch, but I'd worry if they had the other two, Rise and whatever the other one's called, Shadow, on there. There'd probably be cloud versions.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to be, because the engine that they're using is only compatible with consoles like PS4 and PS5, because the textures and polygons, I don't think the Switch is going to be able to handle it.
No, but maybe in a few years when we get another Nintendo console, maybe if they do a Switch 2 and it's got two screens as well, and then you can get the Mario and Luigi games on there, and the newer PS4 games. It's like saying newer PS4 games. We're on PS5 now, aren't we? My goodness.
Definitely. And a bit of a spoiler alert, the Xbox Series X and the PS5 might be Sony and Microsoft's last consoles.
Oh, yeah.
From what I've been hearing, because you know how high the graphics and the RAM is in those systems.
Yeah, so if something like that can just be supported forever, then it's it's like, so I've gone with the Series S with Xbox just because I'm only going to use it for Game Pass. And it's just that's all you really need on there, but. Yeah, so maybe I'll get a PS5, a physical disc one, then I've got the balance of both then. But that's besides the point. So yeah, I think Tomb Raider's an iconic franchise. Lara Croft's an iconic character. I think she needs to be on the Switch in some shape or form. And,
she has to.
And you want those shapes to be triangles.
Yeah, definitely. Oh god.
Okay, so we've touched on this character a little while ago. So I want to see, because we're getting the Sonic Origins collection next month, but I want to see the Sonic Adventure games.
Oh, yes.
So I'm calling this the Sonic Adventure Collection and Knuckles. And because Knuckles is in the games, so let's face it.
Yeah, of course.
I would really like these games to be sort of remade, because I love both Sonic Adventure games. Sonic Adventure 2. I absolutely love Sonic Adventure 2, even though...
Oh, mate, you and I have something in common. That is actually one of my favourite 3D Sonic games ever made. Like, beautiful.
But, yes, but even back in the day, as much as I loved it, I did sort of notice its flaws, with glitches. Yeah. And I played it again last year for the first time in a long time, and the flaws in the game bothered me more than they used to. And so I'd like to see these games sort of touched up and remade. But I would love to stream Sonic Adventure 2 at some point anyway.
There has been rumors of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 might be getting remade in the future, because Sega did recently announce they're going to start remaking, rebooting,
Yes.
or remastering their IPs, and there's been tons of rumors of two, well, not two, three of my favorite games from Sega might be getting remade. Is Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 and Eternal Champions. And I really do hope the two Sonic Adventure games is in that category, because if that's the case, we might get a Sonic Adventure 3 in the future.
And do you know another reason why I think they might want to bring Sonic Adventure 2 out again? Is because have you seen the second Sonic movie?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so I'm going to say a spoiler, so I'll put a timestamp to after the spoiler, so click on that if you don't want to hear it. But the post-credits scene shows Shadow, so it's like, so obviously the third Sonic movie is going to be the story of Sonic Adventure 2, or based on it anyway. So maybe releasing the game again as a remake or whatever would be a way to get people to want to go see the film, especially younger gamers who wouldn't have access to Sonic Adventure 2 at the minute.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, although I think you can buy it on the Xbox Game Store or something, but you don't want it on Switch.
Same. Of course, I've got Sonic
Heroes.
Frontiers coming out.
Yes.
And of course, people are calling it Breath of the Wild featuring the Blue Hedgehog. That's what a lot of people are calling it. But in all honesty, like I would love to see that. And one of the things I really want to see bring about with Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 is bringing the multiplayer, but put online on there as well.
Yes.
So you can go against other people across the world. Like if you want to do the foot race with Sonic, Shadow, Amy, Metal Sonic, like you versus 3 other players, then go for it.
I mean, I could see actually as a sort of bigger online, maybe like 10 players or more, something, doing the treasure hunt ones.
Yeah.
That would be so good as a big online multiplayer thing. You got like the emeralds, whoever can find them first with the radar thing. That would actually be really good online experience.
It would. Be a dream come true.
Yeah. So maybe another thing as well, on the topic of Shadow as well, with Sonic Adventure 2. You had Sonic Heroes after, which sort of continued the Shadow story arc. And then the game Shadow the Hedgehog sort of finished it. And so Shadow himself has a trilogy there, a continuing story.
Much does.
Yeah, so you had, there was the ending of the Team Dark story, and Sonic Heroes sort of revealed something about Shadow, which felt like a cliffhanger to me. And then, Shadow the Hedgehog sort of continued that story. So you had sort of like a Shadow the Hedgehog trilogy there. So I'm wondering if they could add those 2 games to the Sonic collection here, the 3D Sonic collection.
I mean, if they can, but the thing is, though, that game did get somewhat of a bad reputation, especially when it came to its third-person shooter gameplay, which, in my personal opinion, was a dumb idea on Sega's part, because the developers of Sonic Team had no clue, and I mean no clue whatsoever, on how to make a shooter game.
That's true, yeah.
Because they had no clue what they were doing. They should have gave it to a different development team, in their departments. In my opinion, they should have gave it to the people who made House of the Dead. Not the ones who did the remake, of course, but their original developers made it.
Oh yeah. But I always say, because I speak to Sophie's brother about this, who's sort of getting into the Sonic games now. But I've never played Sonic 06, although I do own it, because I want to stream it. That's why. But I've never played it yet. I believe people when they say it's terrible, and I want to see it for myself. But Sonic and the Black Knight almost killed me though on the stream, so I worry about this. So I said to him, because he says, do you think they'll ever remake Sonic 06? And I'm like, I would actually say that if you're going to remake a game, obviously for sales, it wouldn't be. You'd want to remake a good game, but
Yeah,
for
of
the
course.
sake of art, though, surely it's better to remake a bad game and make it good. Like
Of course.
fix what was wrong with it. So maybe they could. I mean, I doubt they would. Like bring Sonic 06 back. Like remake it
Yeah.
completely how and make it good. So you can tell that story. You can tell but just make it good. Like I don't know how,
Like,
but do it.
or better yet, you and Sophie should do a dub over of Sonic 06. Like
Oh
just
wow.
like mute the dialogue, keep the sound, the music up, and make Sonic say some like dumb, offensive stuff, and it would just attract viewers. It really would. You would go
Oh
viral.
man. Oh man. Yeah, I should try that. Yeah. Hit the like button if you want to see us do that. If we get 10,000 likes, we'll do it.
Nice.
Don't even get that many viewers, but
That's what I'm trying.
okay, so we talked about Breath of the Wild a little while ago.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, that got delayed till next year, which leaves a Zelda-shaped hole this year, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
why not bring the Zelda HD collection, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess plus Ganon's Fury, as I'm calling it?
Or better yet, instead of Ganon's Fury, it should be called Vengeance of Ganon.
Yes, okay. And he's gonna because Ganondorf. That's the thing. Obviously, like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, visually, obviously the styles are very, very different from each other. But in both games, it's spoilers, but the games are very old. It's Ganondorf's in both games, and it's how he dies in both those timelines.
Yeah.
So it's really the conclusion. So Vengeance of Ganon would work as a third title in it.
It would, and what's interesting though is that they could do like a what if mode where, you can play as Ganon and you just destroy everything in your path, and the what if story should involve him killing Link and sucking the energy out of Zelda, and he just becomes this almighty deity.
Oh yeah, that would be really cool actually. Oh man, it's kind of like in the Hyrule Warriors games, you get those modes where you can play as Ganon and just smash things. Like so yeah, one thing about this is because people said like when Skyward Sword HD came out last year, why weren't Wind Waker and Twilight Princess included with it? But the thing is, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, they both got their individual full price remakes 10 years after the original, so it makes sense that Skyward Sword gets it too. It's the first time they've remade it, and they had to rework all the controls and everything, so fair enough that they sell that separately. But I think Wind Waker and Twilight Princess have already been sold individually, just on the last console, so I think they should put them together as a bundle this time if they do put them on Switch.
They definitely should, because I think that would benefit Zelda fans the most. Like you would charge them like I would say like $20-$30 at most. New game comes with it included. Tons of like more polygons, better graphics with Vengeance of Ganon, and I truly believe that would actually make Zelda fans satisfied for now until Breath of the Wild 2 comes out.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I know Nintendo watch these, so I'm going to say to Nintendo right now, I will buy Wind Waker Twilight Princess if it's a bundle, but I will not buy them if you release them individually.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Nintendo, you want my sale? There you go.
Nice.
Okay, so the next one to talk about is we haven't had any James Bond games in a while. So there's been those rumours of the GoldenEye remake, or kind of like what they did with Perfect Dark on the Xbox.
Yeah.
That style, I'd love to see that as well. Carry on, sorry.
I was going to say, turns out that isn't a rumor. It's actually been confirmed to be an actual leak.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I mean, I've got a Xbox, and it's bound to come to Game Pass, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Given Rare, so I don't personally need it on Switch, but I would love to play it handheld. I would totally buy it if it came to Switch, even though I could play it on the Xbox without paying.
I'm pretty sure it will because Microsoft and Nintendo have always had like great business dealings in the past, especially on the Switch.
Yeah,
because Microsoft owns Minecraft and
Cuphead and the Fox game.
Yeah, that as well. Come on, was it Super Lucky's Tale?
Yeah, Lucky.
Super Lucky's Tale. That's it. Because Microsoft basically asked Nintendo saying, hey, we're good friends. Do you wanna can we port like 2 of our games onto your console and we'll pay you a high price? And obviously Nintendo said yeah. And seeing the fact that obviously this leak of GoldenEye getting a remake, like my jaw dropped because I never thought I would see the day. I never thought I would see a beloved first-person shooter, not only made by developers, former developers of Rare, but the former developers of Time Splitters, would even think of bringing back a beloved IP based on a iconic like film franchise.
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously I've talked about GoldenEye in the past. Obviously I did that like 7-hour long stream of it the other week, didn't I? I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favourite games because I'm a huge James Bond fan, and this game is what turned me into a James Bond fan in the first place. So I remember reading a while ago that the remaster that they did was like done in like the late noughties, but they wanted to release it on the Xbox 360, but it was Nintendo that said no.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if Nintendo were the ones stopping it happening, what better compromise could they make? Okay, you let us release this on the Xbox and we'll also release it on the Switch. And then Nintendo can get a cut of the pay there as well.
That's a good point.
So that's how it should be done. But so GoldenEye, I think it should. I think it should. But I was going to talk about other Bond games as well. So there was 3 in particular that came out on like the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era. Agent Under Fire, Nightfire, and Everything or Nothing.
All right.
Now,
I guess that could work.
One reason why I'm highlighting these 3 in particular is because neither of them are based on a film. They're their own unique stories, so that might help with licensing in a way.
Right.
Although, but then you do have to contend with, like, I know Everything or Nothing especially has Pierce Brosnan's likeness and voice, as well as John Cleese and Judi Dench and Willem Dafoe. So they'd probably need to get a cut of it if they're going to remake that. Even if they reuse the same voice clips, they probably need have royalties there. I'm
sure they can pull that off because if they get permission from those celebrities, which I'm sure they'll say yeah. The only thing that they have to do is just update the sound quality, and that's about it. Like, they're practically done with the voiceovers. Yeah,
because Everything or Nothing as well. I mean, I love that game. I mean, I streamed that a few months ago. It holds up today still. Nightfire I've never played, but I hear a lot of good things about that.
Same. I never got a chance to play that because I was too busy playing other games during that time. But I've heard a lot of good things about that.
Yeah, and Agent Under Fire is a decent game as well. So I'd love to see those 3 as a trilogy. I don't know if they'd work as a trilogy because obviously Agent Under Fire and Nightfire seem to go hand in hand, but Everything or Nothing's a drastically different gameplay style. So
yeah, but it's James Bond. Yeah, like no one's gonna worry about that. They want to see an agent of MI6 doing what's right for Queen and country and just causing mayhem towards these villainous terrorists who are planning to like destroy the world. Like that's the whole point of James Bond. Like people love that character for a reason.
They could package in 007 Racing as well.
Oh no!
I've never played that.
I have. That game is like the title of that name is pure clickbait. I'm just gonna let you know about that right now. It is absolute clickbait. There is no racing involved. You're just driving a car. You're literally just driving a car, destroying other cars, and that's it. Like
Oh my
they
god.
should just call it 007 Twisted Metal Edition.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
the company
That'd been fun.
then the company would have got sued for it. That's actually what there's.
James Bond versus Batman, Twisted Metal.
Oh,
There we go. We're coming up with ideas now.
I like that.
Yeah, so it has been 10 years since the last James Bond game. That was 007 Legends, which I've played that. It's not good.
No, it is. It is literally a Call of Duty clone, and the thing is, the Call of Duty franchise is dead to the eyes of many. So there's
it's not even a good Call of Duty clone. It's like
It's not.
It's like oh man, it's just on one of the Skyfall levels. I did a let's play of this game on my old channel that I don't use anymore, and it's still available. Random Day 7 if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
And you drive on the motorbike, and the people are all jumping out of your way. And this was 2012 on the PS3, and they look like cardboard cutouts. And they just sort of like a fan's blown them out of your way. That's how they're animated. Like, oh my god.
And you want to hear a funny story about the developers who made this game, right? These guys are in our home country in the UK, right? Well, were. The company was called Eurocom, and these guys made like mediocre games at best, right? The only like two like recognizable games they made was Crash Bash and Sphinx, the Last Mummy. I think that's what it was called.
Oh yes, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Those were like the only two decent games they made. Everything else was just absolute garbage, and 007 Legends was the nail in the coffin for them. Like they went bust after that. And to make it even more funny, their development studio has turned into a Tesco. I'm not making that up. They literally knocked the building down, reconstruct it, and turn it into a Tesco of all things.
Oh my god.
It's absolutely like what an incredible story that is. It's fantastic.
Every little helps.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So so back to the Bond games there. So the good news is there's I don't know if it's good news for you based on what you said earlier. There's a new James Bond game being made by the Hitman developers. But,
yes, I've heard of that.
It sounds like we're not going to have the patience for it, though.
Yeah, I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine with these developers. It's literally me who's just bad at their games. Like I'm not blaming them for this. Like I'm just terrible at stealth games.
I think a James Bond game in the style of Hitman would work.
Definitely.
And to do missions and so not to just senselessly murder people, but to do the missions and stuff. That would be a really good setup. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
The only thing that they have to separate from both Hitman and James Bond here with their new game is what they have to do is that they need to give you like the optional choice if you want to go stealth or if you want to go in guns blazing. Like you can
definitely.
make that. They need to make sure that player has that decision, because if they don't, it's basically just going to be a reskin of Hitman, and that would, my opinion, would tank sales immediately.
Yeah, I do have faith in the team to deliver a good game here.
Same here.
And again, I would like to see as well, because they've done obviously they do games based on the films that have just come out. They used to do. But they also did a From Russia with Love video game. And, you had a 70-year-old Sean Connery, the voice coming out of a 30-year-old looking Bond.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh.
But I would like to see them do video game versions of older Bond films. Not like 007 Legends, better than that. Because I've seen, like ROM hacks and stuff, people. So I've seen someone do The Spy Who Loved Me in using GoldenEye, and it looked really good.
That's not. Oh wow! I need to check that out actually.
It's on YouTube, and someone's done Tomorrow Never Dies as well, as if Rare had made Tomorrow Never Dies as well, and it's GoldenEye in everything, but it's the story and levels and areas of Tomorrow Never Dies.
I remember seeing a hilarious mod where they replaced all the James Bond characters with Banjo-Kazooie characters, and it was literally Banjo-Kazooie with guns. That's literally what it was.
Yeah, there's a Mario 64 one as well where all the guards are Koopa
Yes,
Troopers.
I've seen that.
Yeah. Yeah, it went so well. But yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I could talk about James Bond forever, really, but we should press on, I think.
definitely.
So the last collection I want to talk about, and I cannot believe this is not on Switch, and that is the Disney Afternoon Collection, because those
Oh
games
yes,
are NES games.
exactly. And
They're
but
Nintendo
that
games. Why are they not on a Nintendo console? Who is buying? I mean, yes, I bought it, but who is buying this on the PlayStation?
exactly
Like,
like if it's due to like business disagreements with Disney, then okay, fair enough. But come on, like these originally what were on like your first ever console.
Chip and Dale
Like
Rescue Rangers was my first ever game that I owned just for myself. It was
yeah,
my sixth birthday present.
I was more of a Sega kid. I was more of a Sega kid back in the day, and the
Yeah.
only like Disney game that I enjoyed was that Aladdin game, and it was just
Oh
it was
yeah.
so much fun. It was
Yeah, that's
so
a good
good.
one.
And
Yeah.
not the Lion King one because I almost broke my controller with that one. Oh God, the controls are
That
so
one.
sensitive.
That's
The controls are
devas-
so sensitive on that game. It
Yeah,
was
it's
unbelievable.
so tough, that one. I actually streamed that one because I loved it when I was younger and had more patience. But now, when I was streaming it, I don't like the using rewind features, but I used it
Nah,
just to make it stream friendly, so people could see the whole game. But yeah, it's so hard and like unfairly so. But do you know why that is? Also, people say.
I don't know why. Sorry.
I I don't know if this is the case, but I've heard that the developers didn't want people to just rent it and beat it over a weekend. They wanted
Ah,
people to
okay.
actually buy the game. So
So they literally went full Dark Souls before Dark Souls was even a thing.
yeah, so Dark Souls on
Pretty much.
Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh.
But yeah, Disney Afternoon Collection, that needs why is that it feels like it's too late to put it on the Switch now, but it's just it should have been on there from the get go.
Never say never, buddy. Never
Yeah.
say never.
That's true. Speaking of never say never, I'm going to give you the floor here. F-Zero, go.
Oh yes. Okay, so this is a game that I've been begging Nintendo to bring back ever since the Nintendo Wii because a little bit of brief history because I've done my research with F-Zero decades ago, so I'm all set to go on this one. So,
Right, go on.
all right, so the Nintendo Switch I think is the best time to release either a new installment or a remake of GX, and we can all agree GX is a masterpiece of an F-Zero game. It is by far one of the best ones in the series. Um, because in my opinion, if they're going to do a remake of GX, which I'm just going to give you a heads up right now, they need to do more than just make it as a new coat of paint. They need to bring in new content as well as the content that was cut from the original game.
Yeah.
For example, they had an F-Zero X racetrack that was supposed to be on there which quite a famous one called Silent High Speed, which obviously is that long track they just race in like a long like oval pattern, I guess.
Yeah.
There was the beta version of Casino Palace. They should definitely bring that into the remake. The CGI endings. Okay, if you've seen them like I have, I've seen every single one of them.
The
A lot.
interviews.
Not well, yeah. The interviews, in my opinion, they need to be tweaked a little bit because come on, you got to answer more than just one question. Then it just cuts
Oh,
to
yeah.
cutscenes. You got to like answer more than just one question because I mean that would make more sense for an interview. But the CGI endings for the characters, however, are very very hokey, and in my opinion, they've got to change. Like I mean, they were great for their time, but if you go back and watch them now, it feels way too silly. And in my opinion, F-Zero is all about fast-paced racing, action, destruction, carnage. Like that's the whole point of F-Zero. And if they're going to do a new installment, they should definitely take the Mario Kart 8 route with this, where you have obviously the new cops representing new racetracks, but below them you have old cops. You have cops that represent old racetracks from the previous installments of the F-Zero series. So, for example, you have obviously the SNES Cup, the X Cup, the GX Cup, the GP Legend Cup, Maximum Velocity Cup, so on and so forth. So it has like all their infamous racetracks from their previous games that they were in. There should be there should be not just custom vehicles where you can like create your own vehicle and stuff. But what they should also add is obviously the custom racetracks, but they should also add custom cups so you can like put your custom racetracks into those custom cups, and above that you should create your own pilot.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And you can take all that stuff online and race with 29 other players. And I really do believe that could actually benefit F-Zero. Because one of the things that really annoyed me with Shigeru Miyamoto, and believe me, this is like one of his worst excuses, is that he always keeps on saying that F-Zero needs a gimmick, and it doesn't.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I have something to say on that as well, but carry on.
Because like Miyamoto, don't get me wrong, he's a great game designer. I love his work, big fan of it. But the criticism I have to give him is that ever since the Wii came out, him and the rest of the company have had this unhealthy addiction with gimmicks.
Yeah.
And you wonder why Star Fox Zero was a travesty of a game.
I was going to mention Star Fox Zero as well on that. Yeah.
but do go on about gimmicks, my friend.
Yeah. So this whole thing Nintendo put out, like, innovate for the sake of innovating, even when it's not needed. Like Star Fox Zero is a good example. Like, you know, if it had just a normal controller, it would have been a much better experience. But when Shigeru Miyamoto said, like, we can't think of a way to make the new F-Zero game different from the older ones, whatever, and I'm like, okay, first of all, F-Zero's never had online play. That's a new thing for it. You could make it just a standard F-Zero game. Second of all, you want to have, it has to be something unique, has to be something different. Well, what of all these Wii U ports on the Switch then? They're not different. Look, Splatoon 3 doesn't look any different to Splatoon 2 from where I'm sitting. I haven't really looked that much in depth to it. And you can do, and then just do F-Zero GX HD, like you're saying here, a port of this. I don't think people would mind that. And if it played just like a normal F-Zero game, it's been over nearly 20 years now since the last one.
Exactly.
I don't think people are going to care about if it was just a normal F-Zero game. Like there are different things you can do with F-Zero, like a track editor or online play and stuff like that, and things you've been listing as well. There's different things you can do with F-Zero. Like, it makes no sense to me that they're... And I can understand if they were saying maybe F-Zero doesn't sell as well as other series to make it viable, but look at the sales of Metroid Dread and Pikmin 3 on the Switch.
Exactly.
Luigi's Mansion 3, games that don't usually sell well on other consoles. The Switch sells games. Your games sell amazingly on the Switch.
And the one thing I want to point out about that as well, with the whole Metroid and Luigi's Mansion 3, just having the best sales from their previous installments. I've been seeing not only diehard F-Zero fans like myself begging Nintendo to bring this franchise back, but I've been seeing just non F-Zero fans, if not casual Nintendo players, asking for a new F-Zero. And the numbers are increasing because it just even I mentioned earlier on this podcast that Flash Out and Red Out 2, those are two highly anticipated futuristic racing games. And yet those games are going to sell like hotcakes. Yeah. So why not announce a new F-Zero? That's going to start bringing people in.
Yeah, I think that would. I feel like F-Zero could be, if Nintendo do a direct next month in play, where E3 would have been. I feel like an F-Zero unveiling would be on the level of Metroid Dread last year.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
A real F-Zero coming out October or November. Because the annoying thing about F-Zero GX as well is I did own it, but years ago I lent it to someone and I never got it back, and I don't remember who I lent it to. And now it's stupidly expensive to buy it again.
I know, it's ridiculous. I even went on eBay and some guy is literally selling F-Zero GX up to around $4,000, and I was
God.
I was like, no, forget that. I am not. Like, as much as I love the franchise, I am not paying that kind of money. Forget it.
Yeah.
Not happening.
It's just
But
it's so when a game is just made unavailable to you, it is annoying. But
yeah.
like my something my brother actually said back to GoldenEye. He said, "How is GoldenEye such an iconic, huge game in its time? How is that not available to play? Like, is there any bigger game than GoldenEye out there that's not available to play right now?"
Exactly. Hell, even if you look at F-Zero X on the N64 expansion pack,
Yeah.
like they've still got millions of players still playing the multiplayer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even that should give out signs that Nintendo should look at that and go, okay, you know, like the fan base is bigger now. We should start making a new game or a remake of GX.
Hopefully,
But
and we know that those apps record how long you play on each game as well, so they might be looking at that.
True. But one thing I want to point out about the GX remake though is that if they're going to do that, they're going to have to get in contact with Sega and say, hey, if whether you want to get involved in the development of this remake or not, is it okay if we could take GX and remake it even if you don't want to be a part of it? And if Sega says, yeah, sure, go ahead, which I'm sure they will, because they're more of the, I guess you could argue, the most sensible company in Japan out there.
It would be money for nothing, wouldn't it? Then.
Yeah, true. But then again, they might just go, okay, we'll do it, but at a price. But who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, the online multiplayer for F-Zero is the key for modern gaming, because 30 races on the track, 60 frames per second, going at fast speeds. Oh my god, man! You would mate, I would be screaming on the top of my lungs, slamming my fists against my chest, alpha male style, just trying to prove that I'm the better racer on this game, even though I might get obviously demolished, but who knows? But me personally, F-Zero is one out of the few Nintendo games that need to come back. In fact, another game I should mention actually. I'm not a big fan of this, but a friend of mine is. Nintendo needs to bring back the Star Tropics series.
Oh yeah, that's something I didn't think about. I say I've not really played them that much. I've played it on the Wii Virtual Console, but didn't get very far. But I know people are keen on that.
Oh yeah, but that's kind of it for me for F-Zero, because I'm just like,
yeah.
Like I could go on for hours, but obviously we've got limited time, and obviously we're going to be and obviously midnight's going to be hitting pretty soon. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep going then. So there's a few one-off games now I want to talk about. All of them N64 games actually. I'd like to see remade. Right. So one of them is called Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon or Goemon, how do you pronounce that? Do you know that one?
I have heard of it, but I never really played it. But however, I did play another game that was made by the same developer who made Mystical Ninja, and of course that was Ape Escape back on the PlayStation 1.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've never played that.
Oh, it's amazing. It is the dumbest but funniest game ever.
Yeah,
they even did like an Ape Escape mission in Metal Gear Solid 3. I'm not making that up. Yeah, like if you complete the entire game on like 100%, you unlock the Ape Escape mission, and Snake is so confused as to why there's cartoon monkeys roaming around.
Oh man. Yeah, I know about Ape Escape from Ant Dude's done videos on them.
Yeah.
But they brought back Crash and Spyro remakes, so maybe Ape Escape can do that as well. But anyway, yeah, so Mystical Ninja starring Goemon is a 3D sort of action adventure game, sort of kind of like a 3D Zelda. But playing it today is not as good because it suffers from being an early N64 game.
Yeah.
Pre-Ocarina of Time. There are no proper camera controls, and there's not really any Z targeting either, because Ocarina of Time hasn't come out yet. So it controls-wise, it hasn't held up. But the game itself, like the world design, the visual style and the music, everything about it is so good, so nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
And it's got some sort of there's this one bit where there's a few times in the game where you summon this giant robot to do this like on rails like smashing section, and then like a first person punch out style boss fight where you're inside a giant robot, and when you summon him all 3 times it shows this anime style cutscene of like the robot getting built with this anime song playing, like in
Oh,
Japanese, and
yeah.
it's
Oh,
so
wow.
good. It's stuff like that I absolutely loved. So I'd like to see a proper remake of this game, but it's a Konami game, I believe, who
Yeah, it
published
is.
it.
It is a
So
Konami game. Like, I know. It's kind of sad though that Konami is one of those studios that they actually admitted that they want their company to die, which is kind of
oh
a
no,
sad, kind of
but
sad though, because it just shows that they're just so burnt out from making
yeah,
games now. Um, but what I would love to enjoy from them is the fact that they should definitely bring back games like Mystical Ninja, bring games like back like Ape Escape, and another game that they should definitely. I wouldn't say bring back as a remake, but reboot, I guess. And that's the Rumble Roses series, which is it's basically a all female wrestling game in a
oh
sense,
right, I've not heard of that. No,
um, just give you a heads up, it's filled with a lot of crude fan service, and for good reason.
okay, kind of
So
like
just
the
give you a
Dead
heads
or
up.
Alive volleyball thing.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much. Except it just involves like wrestling and stuff like that. But
yeah,
yeah, Konami like I know they've got that Cowabunga collection that they're working on, which I'm absolutely looking
yes,
forward to playing because they've confirmed that online multiplayer is going to be on there. So I
nice.
am I am getting that instantly because two of my favorite games from the Cowabunga collection was Turtles in Time and Tournament Fighters.
Right.
Uh, absolutely love those games. They are my
Yeah. Is
all-time
it is
favorites.
it is it sad that the game I'm most excited for is the first NES game, the really hard platformer one?
Yeah.
I have it on the Wii Virtual Console. I played it back in the day on the NES, but me and Glenn from Switch Up,
Yes.
he's a huge Turtles fan as well. I went to uni with him, and we played like taking it in turns on that one, and we sort of set ourselves a challenge back then to be who could be the first person to actually beat that game.
Oh wow.
Like no save states allowed or anything like that. It has to be properly done. So maybe having it on the Switch now would help us with that, playing it handheld. But we'll see. But the annoying thing in speaking of Virtual Console as well, Mystical Ninja, there was one on the Super Nintendo that came to Virtual Console, but the
Yeah.
N64 one never did. And I'm wondering if the reason why is because the N64 game required that controller pack to save. It didn't save on the cartridge.
Oh
And
right.
Virtual
Yes.
Console games did not support controller pack or rumble pack features.
I know. And what's actually funny though is that I've got myself a Pandora's box arcade machine, which is like an arcade tabletop, right?
Yeah,
And it has like all the like emulated games built into it. One of the most interesting things about this is that the people who programmed this arcade machine was that it. I don't know how they did this, but they somehow managed to trick the N64 games into thinking that the tabletop had a rumble pack in the system.
right. Wow.
It literally believed that. And the awesome thing is though, you could save the game at any time you want, which is great.
Yeah, cool. Oh, it needs that, doesn't it?
Definitely.
But that's why I think remake rather than port of Mystical Ninja would be good. So the next one I want to talk about, and I'm thinking on the same lines as this, is Glover, which was a PS1 and N64 game. That is getting a port slash remaster thing on Steam.
Yes, I've never really played too much of it, but I have heard it's getting a remake, which obviously is nice to see. Which I'm genuinely surprised the developers are actually still around with that.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's not one I would have been sort of crying out for, but even though I do enjoy it, but the fact that it's existing as a re-release of it, but not on the Nintendo console, where this sort of game is made for Nintendo players. Sort of
Yeah,
like the cartoony platformer. That's Nintendo fans are your audience for those sorts of games.
of course, and it's kind of like that surprise right there where like I think it has something to do with obviously the developers being like they may have had money back then, but they've lost so much over the decades they just can't
Yeah,
afford dev kit. I believe that might be the case.
maybe. So maybe if it does well on Switch on Steam, they'll have enough money to do a Switch
Possibly.
port. But hopefully. So the last one I've got on the list, although there could be others we could bring up, we could go on all day about what should be on there. I think for the N64 app, this would be a huge seller for it, and that's Diddy Kong Racing.
Oh yes, yes.
So there's obviously been issues with that because there's rare characters like Banjo and Conker in it.
Yeah.
But now Banjo-Kazooie's on the N64 app, so is it a problem now?
I don't think there's a problem now because if Phil Spencer is in charge of Microsoft, and if he's making good business dealings with Nintendo, I don't see it as a problem.
I have a theory as to why Diddy Kong Racing has never been put on the Virtual Console or on Nintendo since as a port, and that's because of Taj.
Ah, yes, the controversial.
I think that's the reason why. Because Nintendo for these N64 app and Virtual Console, they don't touch up the games at all. They just put them on there as is.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why.
Got yeah. So if we ever want a new Diddy Kong Racing game, they're gonna have to make a new one Diddy Kong Racing 2,
or just re-record Taj's voice, because Diddy Kong Racing got a port on the DS, and Taj had a completely different voice in that.
Yes, he did. But it's understandable. It's understandable why though.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. So, maybe they could put in the effort to, get someone to just record, sort of like the 4 things Taj says in that game, and have someone else just say the lines in a different voice.
Absolutely.
But then in the Mario Sunshine port on the All Stars, they didn't even get Flood to. They didn't even re-record Flood saying the tutorials. They just cut out the word R. Just says just press the button to do this.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So.
Laziness at its finest, ladies and gentlemen.
Diddy Kong Racing, what a game! What a game!
I know what I found hilarious though was that people who read the Nintendo Power magazines back in the day, I remember people losing their minds with this, going, oh, it's gonna just be a clone of Mario Kart, it's gonna be a clone of Crash Team Racing. When they got their hands on it, they went, wow, this is actually pretty fun. Wow.
It did its own thing.
Yeah, it did.
The balloon system for the items, where you knew what you'd get due to its colours, and you could upgrade them. That was really good and added a lot of strategy.
But here's a thought though. If a remake of Diddy Kong Racing or a sequel was going to be made, without Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo and Conker involved, I think the replacements for them, no doubt, should definitely be Donkey Kong, and if you want to do this just for laughs, just throw in Pauline.
Oh, that'd be funny.
I think that would definitely benefit the game well, I think, in my opinion.
Because the DS one added in Dixie and Tiny, but they made Tiny a lot taller than she should be. So I thought that would be cool if they could find some workaround. But I don't. But it'd be nice because Banjo's Kazooie's on the Switch now. I think Banjo and Conker would be okay.
Definitely.
But yeah, that adventure mode. I would stream the whole thing in one sitting.
Same here. I've seen walkthroughs where people manage to complete the game in roughly 30 minutes. So
I've seen them as well. Okay, so that's basically all the bucket list games we've got on our list. So before we finish, should we move on to some viewer questions?
Fair enough.
Okay, so let's go. We got a few here. So Water Music 34 asks, what's a game you'd like to see as a movie that hasn't been made into one yet?
Oh wow. That's an interesting question. Since Sega has kind of got into the film business now, I would really want them to make a film based on Altered Beast.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I would love to see that.
Would you want it live action or animated?
Live action, take all the Greek mythology and add the Altered Beast elements to it, and there you go. You got yourself like the pure like I know they've got the Streets of Rage movie already announced, which I'm already excited to see because the person who's making that is the same guy who directed John Wick and Nobody. So
Oh,
I'm down.
nice.
I'm down for that instantly. So and also Beast movie, I want to see that. That'd be great.
See, here's the thing. It's kind of because there's a lot of games that I think would make great movies, but
Absolutely.
I don't have faith in movie creators to make it good.
Exactly. I know
Like,
because
yeah,
Hollywood, in my opinion, is so arrogant. They think what's best for the audience, but in reality, it's just what they want.
like Uncharted as a great movie should be a no-brainer, but then they just miscast them, in my opinion.
I know, like
And
it did get good praise, but I
Yeah.
was like looking at the casting. I was like, what? Tom Holland as Nathan Drake?
and
What?
that shows that it's not an artistic choice; it's a money-making choice. Because
Exactly.
Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg are big names that people love them, so let's just stick them in this movie. Even doesn't matter if they're not right for the role or not. Like, but yeah, so I mean, there's this game called we've talked about it already called GoldenEye. I think would make an excellent film.
Oh yeah, it definitely was.
No, I'm
Oh.
joking, but I mean, that's the thing. There's so many games out there, especially action games, that I think would make great films, but I don't. I think should make great films, but I don't think they will do it. But the other question Water Music asks is, what movie would make an interesting game that also hasn't been done?
Oh.
So have you noticed that movie-based games aren't as common as they used to be now?
No, they're not as they're quite
Like
quite.
every Disney film that came out, every action film that came out had a rushed
Yeah, it's-
game out for its release, but you don't see that anymore.
I think developers are starting to realize that us consumers are not falling for that garbage anymore. I think that's the
Yeah.
reason why. Me personally, I would love to see them make a video game based on a movie, which is, hear me out. This is gonna be quite an odd one. I really want them to like do a film based on Naked Gun.
Oh, that'd be fun. I like
like
Naked Gun.
like a comedy third person shooter, where you like go around just like shooting people, doing like all sorts like crazy stunts and whatnot, and yet you don't die at all.
Yeah.
You instantly just get back up and your health immediately just restores just like that.
Would it follow the plot of the films, or would it be its own story set in that world?
It would follow its story from the films, but I would say like give it its own like little quirks,
Yeah.
which I think would do great for a game, especially for a film that's so nostalgic.
Yeah, for that question, I would like to go back to what I said earlier. I'd like to see like the older James Bond films get games made based on them, and
Oh, yeah.
maybe this one from the Hitman people are going to do that. Maybe they'll pull missions from old Bond films. Just thinking.
Or better yet, they could. They could bring like old James Bond villains like Jaws and possibly Mayday, because I love Grace Jones. I think she was a great actress.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, I would love to see some of the old Bond films get games. Even For Your Eyes Only should definitely get that as well.
Oh yeah, I love that one. Yeah, that's a big cool. The you got the Winter Olympics stuff. You can, like you're skiing down the bobsled track and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That'd be great in the game. Yeah.
that would. Yeah.
Okay, so we got my friend Jesse's asking us some questions now. First one is, how many roads must a man walk down before he can be called a man?
Let's see. I'm going to do this in American math. So carry the 20 over to the 36, then most likely 0.
Okay. So I would say, because my day job, I'm a postman, I probably walk down a lot more roads than you do. So I'm a bigger man than you.
Oh wow.
Okay, who would be your dream co-op partner, living or CG character? aside from Sophie. I don't know if he means co-op partner, as in to be your relationship partner, or whether to be to help you out on something.
If to me it sounds like helping one person else. Me personally, I would go with War Boss Gorguts from the Dawn of War series, mainly because he's just a destructive orc in armor, and all orcs in Warhammer 40k have the power of imagination. So happy days for me.
I'll choose Dobby the house elf. He's ever obedient.
Dobby doesn't like this podcast. I've got myself an AK-47.
Well, you can go and iron your fingers then. Okay, so there's 2 more questions from him. Which movie most accurately captured the feel on the video game it was based on?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Quite a few here actually. I'm gonna say the 2 Sonic movies, because the guy who's directing that, he admits it time and time again he cares about that. That IP.
I saw Sonic in those.
And that's why the 3rd and final installment is just going to be, it's going to go off. The way I'm seeing it, it's going to go out guns blazing for the entire trilogy.
Oh yeah, and like I say, even like Jim Carrey. I said this before. He was completely wrong for the Robotnik, but at the same time, he was perfect.
Exactly. Like, if they just gave him like a fat suit, I guess like that would make him the perfect Robotnik.
Yeah, although I've not seen it yet, there was I've heard that there was a Resident Evil film that came out last year. I heard that did a good job at feeling like the games.
Yeah.
And but also I liked the Tomb Raider film a few years ago. There were certain scenes in that film that felt like there was, like when she was in the plane at the top of the waterfall. I think that was taken directly from one of the games, that bit.
I believe it did, yeah.
And there was also the bit where she gets the bow and arrow and she goes into the bad guy's tent, and it's sort of like she's hiding behind things, and it really felt like a stealth section from one of those games.
Yeah.
I think they captured moments like that really well. And
I think they did, yeah.
Final question, is this the first podcast you'll have done? I don't know if you meant that as a question or not, or just asking me casually, but...
I was going to say, is that referring to me, or...?
I think we'll both have different answers here.
Well, for me, this is my first time being on a podcast. I've done interviews with developers in the past, but yeah, this is my first time being on a podcast.
Nice. So for me, this is our 4th one that we've done on here, but I've not been in on anyone else's. So yeah. So yeah, so that's we'll wrap it up there. So. Thank you so much for joining me, Fatman and Pop. Did you enjoy your time here?
Yes, the pleasure's mine. It's just been a blast actually to enjoy being on a podcast and just talk about games and stuff. It's just been a dream of mine. And
honestly, you've been a really good talker here. I've been so I wasn't, because this is the first time we've spoken. This is the first time I've heard your voice. I didn't know what you'd sound like really. So and. Like when we first started talking before recording, I was like, "Oh wow, he's got a good voice." I thought.
Thank you, man. You said
it's your first podcast. You know, you were very confident. I thought, and you knew what you were talking about, so that's all good.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much to everyone who's listens for coming up to 2 hours now. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of these bucket list games we've been talking about, what you'd like to see come to the Switch. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to do a lot of live streams anyway in the future, so look forward to those as well. So every time one of these games comes to Switch, I'm going to stream the whole thing. So that's the thing. Bring these games to the Switch and I'll stream them. Cool. Right. So thanks again, Fatman and Pop.
No problem, man.
Cool, and thank you all for listening. See you in the next one.
See you later, guys.